Yo, what's good with y'all? It's Gossip Reload back again. And today, this ain't no light drop. This ain't no quick update. This, right here, this one of them stories that make your chest tight, make you question humanity, make you stare at the wall like, bro, what are we even doing this for? When you hear the name BREON Allen Jr., you don't think about gang wars, retaliation, or street politics. You think about a little boy, 7 years old, smiling in pictures, hair brushed neatly, the kind of kid who still believes cartoons are real, and the world is supposed to be safe. But on a quiet January afternoon, that innocence collided with the darkest parts of street life. Not because BREON did anything wrong, but because the adults around him were living inside a world he never chose. This is the story of a little boy who became the face of a tragedy, a reminder that in America, the streets don't just take the ones who sign up for the life sometimes. They take the ones who never had a chance. January 24th, 2025, a Friday. Kids are usually thinking about snacks, homework, and cartoons. Parents are thinking about the weekend. Nothing unusual, just life moving like it always does. BREON was outside on Commonwealth Avenue in Jacksonville, walking with his cousin, Lafayette Mango Jr. BREON trusted him. He was older, 21, someone BREON looked up to. They weren't doing anything wrong. They were just out walking, talking, being family, and then in seconds, everything changed. A car pulled up, doors opened, and what happened next wasn't an accident. It wasn't a mistake. According to investigators, it was planned, targeted, and executed with a purpose. But the target was not BREON. He was just a child caught in a feud way bigger than him. Shots rang out loud, sharp, echoing down the street. People ducked. People screamed. And in the chaos, a 7-year-old boy was hit. By the time they got him to the hospital, little BREON was gone. The world doesn't stop when a grown man dies in a gang war. But when a child dies, whole communities shake. Imagine the phone call. Imagine being a mother and hearing someone tell you your 7-year-old child, the baby you raised, fed, dressed for school, held during storms is gone because of a feud he had nothing to do with. BREON's mother, Kashina Love, said she felt like the air was knocked out of her chest. One moment she was living a normal day, the next she was a grieving mother planning a funeral for her little boy. She said she wanted to keep her son's name alive. When she talks about him, her voice cracks the kind of break that only comes from losing a child. BREON loved cartoons. He loved running around outside. He loved being around family. He had dreams, small ones, kid dreams, but they mattered, and they were stolen. Not by fate, not by randomness, but by choices made by older men who lived inside a street where BREON never understood. It didn't take long for detectives to realize this wasn't random. This wasn't a stray bullet from a fight that got out of hand. This was a planned hit, tied to a feud between two groups, ATK and 6 Block. The shooters weren't aiming at the child. They were aiming at the cousin at Mango because of the politics he was tied into. But that doesn't make the pain any less. BREON's life ended because grown men were fighting a battle that spilled into places where children live, walk, and play. Over the weeks that followed, police arrested Tavares Kelly, 17, Jarrod Sykes, 24, and 4 others connected to the plot. 6 people total were charged. 2 eventually pleaded guilty. But no amount of arrest can undo what happened to that little boy. Justice can punish the guilty, but it can't bring back the innocent. Jacksonville residents weren't just angry, they were heartbroken. When a child dies, even people who don't know the family feel it. People placed teddy bears, balloons, flowers. Pastors prayed, neighbors cried. Schools talked to children who couldn't understand how another kid, someone their age, could be gone because of bullets meant for someone else. Even hardened men in the streets, men who've lost friends and seen violence, even they paused. Because no matter how tough the world gets, there's something universally sacred about childhood. You don't touch the kids, you don't drag them into adult wars. And when it happens, the streets themselves get quiet. As weeks passed, something changed in BREON's mother. She didn't let the grief swallow her. She didn't disappear into a dark place. Instead, she stepped forward. She said, "I want my son's name to live on." She started speaking publicly about gun violence, and how children are the ones suffering the most. She became a voice not by choice, but by necessity. Parents shouldn't have to bury their children, yet here she was, trying to make meaning out of something senseless. Her strength didn't erase her pain, but it turned that pain into purpose. BREON didn't get to grow up. He didn't get to become a teenager, or a man, or a father someday. His story ends too early, but his name still echoes. He represents the children in communities across America who are caught between rivalries they never joined, neighborhoods they were simply born into, and violence they didn't understand. BREON is a reminder that the cost of street wars is bigger than the headlines. It's bigger than the beefs, the music, the back and forth, the retaliation. The real price is paid by families, by mothers, by fathers, by sisters and brothers, by communities trying to hold on to hope, and by children who should have had their whole lives ahead of them. BREON Allen Jr.'s story isn't just about death, it's about responsibility, the responsibility grown men have to protect the next generation. It's about cycles that keep repeating until someone decides to break them. It's about innocence and how fragile it is. And it's about love, a mother's love, a family's love, a community's love, all fighting against violence that should have never touched a child. BREON didn't grow up on the streets. He didn't pick a side. He didn't choose a lifestyle. He was simply walking with someone he trusted. And in those few seconds, the streets chose him. His memory lives because people refuse to let him be forgotten. His story lives because the community needs to hear it. And his name lives because a mother made sure it would. This is the legacy of BREON Allen Jr., a child whose life mattered, whose story deserves to be told with respect, and whose memory pushes us to ask, how many more kids have to die before the cycle breaks? When the funeral ends, when the flowers wilt, when the cameras pack up, the world expects things to go back to normal. But for a family who lost a 7-year-old child, there is no normal anymore. After BREON was laid to rest, the world outside moved like a tsunami. But inside his home, inside that quiet space where his toys still sat, where his shoes still waited by the door, the silence was louder than gunshots. With a family learning how to breathe again, with detectives tightening their circle, and with a city preparing for the long road of justice. In the days after the shooting, Jacksonville Sheriff T.K. Waters got on camera and said something that hit the city hard. "We will not rest until those responsible for the death of this child are behind bars." He wasn't angry. He wasn't yelling. He was hurt, the kind of hurt law enforcement feels when a child is targeted in a war meant for adults. Behind closed doors, detectives started building the puzzle piece by piece. Surveillance footage, cell phone records, gang intelligence, eyewitness accounts, informants who knew too much to stay quiet. They weren't just looking for who pulled the trigger. They wanted everyone involved, drivers, planners, shooters, lookouts. This wasn't a normal case. This was a community tragedy. And investigators treated it like a mission. Weeks passed. Whispers started floating around the city. People were talking privately, quietly, cautiously. The streets know everything before the news does. And the streets said they didn't mean to hit the kid. But that didn't matter. When a child dies, intent doesn't erase impact. Detectives eventually connected the shooting to a feud between ATK and 6 Block. The intended target was Mango Jr., not BREON. But the truth was brutal. Because of a grown man's street ties, a child paid the highest price. On March 12th, the sheriff held a major press conference. 6 mugshots filled the screen. 6 faces tied to a moment that ended a child's life. They were charged with murder, conspiracy, accessory, evidence tampering, gang-related enhancements. 2 of the suspects were teenagers, barely adults, barely older than the kids who looked up to them as examples. When police arrested Tavares Kelly, 17, he didn't fight. He didn't run. He lowered his head. When they arrested Jarrod Sykes, 24, he didn't say much. Not because he didn't care, but because once the law closes in, words won't save you. More arrests followed drivers, planners, anyone even remotely connected. The sheriff said, "This was not an accident. This was organized." Those words hit like cold truth. Inside the courtroom, you could feel the weight. BREON's mother sat in the front row, family behind her, supporters from the community, detectives who worked the case, even strangers who came just to show love. The defendants walked in wearing jail uniforms. No music, no internet, no street politics. Just four walls and a judge who had zero tolerance for excuses. One mother cried seeing her own son chained. Another held her breath, hearing the charges read aloud. Two families were hurting, but for very different reasons. The prosecutor didn't speak loud. He didn't need to. He said, "A child is gone," because grown men chose violence. Silence filled the courtroom. Eventually, two suspects, Kelly and Sykes, stood up and pleaded guilty.
Their voices were low, their eyes heavy. They knew the life they chose wasn't going to save them here. Their guilty plea didn't erase what happened, but it brought the family one step closer to closure. When children die, even the hardest men get quiet. People in the streets started saying, "This one wasn't supposed to happen. The kid didn't deserve that. This got too far." Rivalries paused. Even enemies felt it. Because no matter what side you're on, no matter what you rep, one truth is universal. Kids are off limits. And when that line is crossed, the entire city takes. For weeks, there were no rumors of retaliation. Nobody wanted more blood. Nobody wanted a cycle that takes more children. People started hosting candlelight vigils. Playgrounds added extra watches. Parents began walking their kids to the bus stop instead of letting them walk alone. BREON's story wasn't just a tragedy, it became a warning, a wake-up call. A moment where everyone realized we're losing too many kids to battles they never chose. BREON's mother didn't want her son to be a hashtag. She didn't want him to be a statistic, one more number added to an endless chart of gun violence victims. So she started speaking at community meetings, at youth events, at vigils, at schools. Not as an activist, as a mother. She talked about how BREON loved cartoons, how he laughed, how he ran, how he played, how he had no idea what ATK or 6 block even meant. And people listened. His story started touching hearts outside Jacksonville. Other cities talked about him. Other families reached out. Other mothers who lost their children stood with her. BREON became bigger than the tragedy. He became a symbol of what we stand to lose if change doesn't happen. Justice isn't instant. Court cases drag on. Defense lawyers argue. Prosecutors build their cases. Judges weigh everything carefully. But while the courtroom moves slowly, grief moves differently. BREON's family wakes up every day knowing he's gone. They walk past his room. They see his toys. They see the last outfit he wore. They feel the absence that never fills. Healing isn't linear. Some days are better. Some days hit like the first night they got the call. But day by day, step by step, they move forward. Not because the pain went away, but because they learned to carry it. BREON's story isn't about violence. It's about accountability. It's about justice slowly rising. It's about a community refusing to forget. And it's about a mother transforming devastation into strength. BREON Allen Jr. didn't get to grow up, but his legacy is growing without him. His name is opening conversations. His story is pushing adults to rethink choices. His memory is pushing the streets to reevaluate lines that should never be crossed. This isn't the end of his story. It's the beginning of how the world remembers him. This was real life, with real consequences and real families learning how to move forward in a world where nothing feels fair. Older guys started telling the young ones, "See, this ain't worth it. Look what happened to that little boy. Look what happened to them dudes now. Ain't nobody winning this." For a rare moment, violence stopped. People started talking more about their kids, their future, getting out of the life, protecting their families. Because BREON's case wasn't just tragic, it became a warning. The streets realized one wrong moment could destroy an entire community. Months later, the city erected a small memorial space, a bench with BREON's name, a tree planted in his honor, photos laminated so the rain wouldn't wash them away. Kids play near it. Parents sit beside it. Teachers bring students during field trips to talk about choices, safety, and life. BREON's mother became a voice for gun violence reduction. Not by choice, but because tragedy pushed her into a role she never wanted. She speaks in gyms, school assemblies, community centres, town halls. She tells her story, and every room she speaks in goes silent. Some kids cry. Some stare at the floor. Some walk up to her afterward and hug her. Some tell her about people they lost too. Her strength became part of the healing. BREON was 7 years old, a first grader, a boy who loved cartoons. He didn't know gang signs, gang politics, or street beef. He didn't live that life. He didn't choose that path, and yet his death forced an entire city to reflect on the world adults created around him. Politicians can give speeches, activists can hold marches, police can make arrests. But sometimes change doesn't start from power, it starts from pain. BREON's story became a turning point. Youth programs got more funding, mental health services expanded, anti-gun initiatives grew, gang intervention groups gained support, community police relationships slowly improved. His name opened doors that were closed for years. His legacy did something rare. It changed people. It changed conversations. It changed priorities. It changed the mindset of a city that had been numb to violence for too long. Justice brought accountability. Healing didn't erase the pain, but it brought direction. And his memory didn't fade. It ignited something much bigger. So the city carries his name. The community carries his story. His mother carries his love. And the world carries the lesson. No feud, no street war, no reputation, no beef is worth the life of a child. Not now, not ever. This is the legacy of BREON Allen Jr. Not just a victim, not just a tragedy, but a reminder that every child deserves to grow up. And when they don't, it's our responsibility to make sure their story saves the next one. Let me ask you this. What kind of justice should hit the ones who take innocent kids off this earth? Really think on that. Because when a child gets taken, it ain't just another headline. It's a whole world shattered, a whole community bleeding. If this story touched your heart, show love to the page. Hit that subscribe, smash that like, run that share, and make sure you drop a comment so more stories like this get heard and don't disappear into the noise. Stay safe out here, keep your eyes open, watch your surroundings, and stay alert at all times. This is Gossip Reload, signing out.